Welcome to the SBR NHL Play of the Day video. It's the SBR NHL Double Play presented by SportsbookReview.com for Thursday, November the 14th. I'm Ian Cameron, joined by my colleague, as usual, Adam Boothe, as we give you our top plays on this Thursday NHL card. And as usual, a lot of games to choose from. Not as many on this particular Thursday as normal. 8 games. We've had 10, 11, 12, 13 games on Thursdays in the past this season, but 8 games, still a good amount to choose from. You see our records and our plays on the bottom of the screen. We'll start with Adam. Let's go to him with his play of the day to begin. Again, courtesy of SBRodds.com. Make sure you're using that resource every day to place your wagers so that you know how to get the best line and best number and best price with every wager you make. SBRodds.com. By the way, it has weather updates. It has matchup pages as well on that SBRodds.com page. So it's not just you go there to see what the best price is out there on the bet you're looking to make, but you can find matchup pages, goes into in-depth stats on teams when you click the individual matchup or individual game on the odds page. So it's a really great tool to use. I use it every day. You should be as well. SBRodds.com. Adam is going to the Dallas-Vancouver game for his play of the day. Currently Vancouver about -145 to -150. As home favorites, total 5.5, shaded to the under at -135. Obviously, Vancouver, from a scheduling and spot perspective, should be the fresher team, a little bit more rested. Dallas coming in off the back-to-back in Calgary last night, where they get the job done with a 3-1 win. I know the Vancouver Canucks treated Adam kindly on Tuesday night with his play of the day, and from the looks of things, he's going right back to that well. Adam, tell us about it.
Yeah, It's one of those things where you just find patches in an NHL season. The schedule is so condensed. So what ends up happening is teams that get undervalued or overvalued in a stretch of a week or a couple of weeks, we're talking between 3 and 10 games kind of thing, they get that patch where they're over undervalued, and then everybody adjusts and everybody will start either betting on them or betting against them. And no team kind of loses for the rest of the season. It's not one of those types of leagues where you'll see anything. A 10-game win streak is kind of the pinnacle of what we see as the longest end of these streaks. But tonight we've got the Dallas Cowboys, Dallas Stars, which are 8-2 in their last 10. And you'd say, they started off, 1-7, 2-7, something like that. And they have just started to finally click. I was talking to a buddy. A few of my friends were big on the Stars coming into the season with good reason. And we commented that early in the season, it would take some adjustment with these new lines and, maybe just slow starting. The Stars might be a slow starting team, and they were a little bit slower than we expected, but they have definitely hit their stride over the last few weeks. And I was just reflecting on the goals against in their wins. In 7 of these 8 wins, they've allowed 1 goal against, which is truly remarkable if you think about that on the face of it. It's a league, especially this year. I was mentioning to someone yesterday or few days ago, the rule changes usually in the NHL are meant to encourage more goals. I mean, of course, with some of the sort of video review, we'll see some more taken back on offsides and goalie interference. But overall, we're seeing more of the NHL trying to increase goal scoring, because that's what people want to see generally, at least through the early half of the year. But the Dallas Stars have done a remarkable job in these past handful of games, just shutting down whatever offense they've come against. And they're not playing shitty teams here. So you give them full marks for what they're showing with Bishop. I mean, he was excellent last year, as we saw. And Khudobin was also excellent. And they're both playing well again this year. Bishop's, I think, 93 save percentage this season. I mean, that's remarkable. For those that don't know, a good goalie is sitting around a 91 save percentage over the course of a season. Anything above that is just exceptional. So Bishop's doing his job. The Dallas defense has certainly turned up. So I understand wanting to take a dog even on a back-to-back here, but I have the value on the Canucks at I took them at minus 142, and I think they're still sitting around minus 145-ish everywhere right now. One of the issues for the Stars right now is some key injuries. Of course, they still had no problem dealing with it last night in Calgary. I thought they were the better team for most of that game. They, especially in the second period, I mean, they could have ran it up there 3 or 4 goals after the second. But we have a situation where it's how key do you think these injuries are? Vancouver is generally been an undervalued team the entire season. I said this when they played Nashville. I've had them as my play of the day, I don't know, 4 times this season already, and we're doing well on them. I think we lost one in a shootout against. It doesn't matter. I know we lost one in overtime. Was it St. Louis? Maybe it doesn't matter.
The fact that you remember that it was a shootout loss tells you we remember our losses more than we remember our wins. Yeah.
But Vancouver has an undervalued defense. They have both goalies. The big, note was Markstrom when he had that personal leave. We even talked about on the show. Thatcher Demko was going to be in net. Demko has played exceptional. Demko has a 93 save percentage. I mean, this is a guy who had, 9-10 games of experience prior to this year. So, but again, I always say this, it's about the play in front of him. The Canucks invested in better defense this year, and it's showing. It's made a difference. They present a very real threat to a playoff spot in the weak Pacific Division. And while I think the Stars are playing good hockey with the injuries, it's not a great spot for them. They should be a bigger price. And I am on Vancouver Moneyline and Puckline tonight. So I'm trying to maximize the value. I didn't hit it last night with Calgary, but it's one of those things. Maybe we lose both tonight again. But again, my approach to sports betting and particularly hockey is you continue to go to the value regardless of, what some of the trends might say about the Dallas. One trend I saw this morning was the road team has won 5 of the last 6 here. I mean, it's sort of going back to times when Vancouver had rookies in Besser and, Pettersson. And, this is a very different Vancouver Canucks team at the moment. And I think they're dealing with a couple injuries as well. Just going over it. Yeah, Beagle and Sutter, sorry. They're both out. And those are key centermen, depth centermen.
Yeah.
So I think they were commenting that who was it? Who was playing? Someone played 28 minutes the other night. Name eludes me right now, but it's their second line guy there. He was playing sort of second line, third line, and some fourth line minutes. He had 28 minutes against the Predators, which is exceptional. But if they trust, I can't remember his name at the moment. Who was it? It was Horvat, Bo Horvat.
Bo Horvat, yeah.
Yeah, and he's the captain. So, all teams are dealing with injuries. I'm not saying that Canucks aren't a little bit banged up as well, but I like the value. I do agree with the model on this one, and that's pretty much my rationale for going with them tonight.
All right, Vancouver minus 142 is what Adam got. It's gone up a little. About 5 to 10 cents, not much. 145, 150. There's still plenty of that out there right now. So still.
I expect it to kind of stay in that range. I don't think this is one where we see it significantly drop. I think I do think Dallas should be up around that plus 150-ish number. I don't think we'll actually see them get that high.
All right. So Adam won with Vancouver as his play of the day Tuesday. He'll look to do it again on this card on this Thursday with Vancouver Moneyline minus 142. And I'm changing it up with my play of the day on this Thursday card. I've been totals heavy lately. The last 2 days with my own personal wagers, the totals have been more losing than winning. So, and the sides have done good. Look at last night. I was on Ottawa. I was on Dallas.
Nice.
I was tempted by Chicago. I didn't bet them, and I should have. And of course, they beat Vegas 5-3. So the sides we were reading those pretty well last night. So I decided let's go with a side. Let's go with a very, very undervalued side right now. We're looking at the Detroit Red Wings against the Los Angeles Kings. LA minus 140. Home favorites in that range, pretty much. Most biggest consensus line is probably LA minus 140 right now. The total 6 shaded to the under. And if you're power rating this game based on full season stats, this line is probably where it should be. If you're power rating this line based on current form, this is not where it should be. The Detroit Red Wings have had a legitimate change in their play the last few games, and it really started with the acquisition of Robbie Fabry. Now, I'm not trying to make Robbie Fabry out to be the next coming of Sidney Crosby or Connor McDavid or anything like that. This is a guy that obviously couldn't crack the St. Louis Blues roster, which is why Doug Armstrong decided to trade him to the Detroit Red Wings. But he needed a change of scenery. He needed a place where he could get more ice time, be in a top 6 forward role, which he wasn't going to get with the St. Louis Blues. Sure enough, first game, and at the time going into that first game with Robbie Fabry making his Red Wings debut, Detroit had nothing going for them. They were playing lifeless, miserable hockey on a nightly basis. What did they were 1-9 or 1-10 going into that game against Boston last week? Robbie Fabry takes the ice for them, scores 2 goals in that first game against Boston as a member of the Detroit Red Wings. And it's like everybody wakes up and everybody stands to attention all of a sudden. Like, whoa, look at this guy. Oh, and we got a little adrenaline now. We got a player here. And everybody perks up. Everybody picks up their bootstraps. And everybody starts waking up and playing some better hockey, more inspired hockey when they see a guy that just wins a team impacting them like that. They beat the Boston Bruins in stunning fashion. And don't look now, the Red Wings have yet to lose since that game. They beat Vegas on the weekend. They come back in overtime to beat Anaheim to start this road trip. And I was tempted to back Detroit against Anaheim, and the reason I did not is because their road record was miserable. They had been on a 7 or 8 game road losing streak going into that game against Anaheim. The 2 wins.
Ian, this is where you value, which is more important, the newfound form with the Bertuzzi Fabry combo, or do you back the previous trend prior? I mean, it's easy to say now.
Exactly.
But I think you're what you've been touching on about the new life that Fabry's brought into the team and the combo with him playing with Bertuzzi and Junior. I think if I was you in that position, I would have. I didn't play Detroit either that game, but given what your analysis is saying, I think I would have overridden the road record there.
And I wish I had, because the road losing streak didn't take into account the Robbie Fabry acquisition. That was all before he got to the team. All those bad games and all those bad losses. But this team's clearly playing with a different level of enthusiasm, intensity, focus, and obviously they're playing better. And they're actually getting some saves from both Bernier and Howard, and that's something that has been an issue. Defensively, they've had some issues as well. They're still giving up a few goals, but right now they're outscoring those issues, and they are playing at least a little bit better defensively. And for the flip side, I know they got a win the other night against Minnesota to snap a losing streak. The Kings, they had a dreadful road trip against Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal. But this is not a team I look to get extended winning streaks. In fact, I don't mind betting against the Kings off a win. They have had trouble stringing wins together, stringing good performances together 2 years in a row. And anytime I see that little minus sign beside the LA Kings name, which indicates they're a favorite, I've really got no problem going against them. I think we got a bet on Detroit team that's playing at a new level of confidence right now and just energy since getting Robbie Fabry. It's shown 3 straight wins since they got him. This is a beatable LA Kings team. There's nothing I like about this team. Their power play stinks. Their offense has no depth to it whatsoever beyond Kopitar and a couple of the guys. I don't like the dynamic of Kovalchuk being exiled by this team. That's a locker room dynamic they don't need, and they got to deal with that now with Kovalchuk being looking to shop him out, the LA Kings. Really, this is just a no-brainer at this price to take Detroit. I think they're the better of these 2 teams right now. Record-wise, they're pretty close overall in the season. But again, this is one of my handicapping philosophies. I like to pick apart numbers based on full season stats. Current form and what I'm seeing of late matters more to me, and I think that's why we've got big value with Detroit. So for me, Detroit Red Wings plus 125 for the play of the day.
I can't disagree with anything you said. I have, this is a tough one. I had this marked at 58% to the Kings. Now, that's kind of pretty close to what the line is. It would put, I really like what the reasons you've laid out there, though, Ian. I'm sort of behind schedule today. I've only done the Arizona and Vancouver games so far, that's the last game I think on the card today. So I will definitely be looking at that one closer. But I think for what you said, I mean, given that we saw Minnesota favored against LA in their last one, and we've got the fresh sort of fast tempo of those top two lines on Detroit, their power play looked lethal against both Boston and Vegas. I didn't watch the Anaheim game, but yeah, like I was talking. There's a guy in our Discord who he's a huge Wings fan, and we were just talking about how Bertuzzi and Fabry had that junior chemistry when they played together, and that's something that I didn't know coming into the trade, and that just adds so much value to saying it was a win for the Wings for what they needed at the moment, which was depth and potency beyond that. And it's still, Fabry is on the second line, but he's on the top power play unit. But I think you're right. I just think there's, I mean, it's not really a metric we can talk about here, but it does seem that the Wings are rejuvenated after their 10 of 11 loss streak that they endured there for a while, and it's looking pretty bad. And you catch a Bruins team in a bad spot for Boston. Maybe they're just a little lackadaisical, and then Vegas lets go a 2-1 lead in the last 8 minutes and loses in regulation. That's the Wings just capitalizing on wanting it more in those last 8 minutes. And
executing better in crunch time. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Crunch time. And yeah, you could say they took advantage of Boston and Vegas in particular in favorable spots. Both of them were on the second night of back-to-back. Well, actually, Boston was off those
Boston
two
wasn't,
games.
But Vegas,
they weren't, but Vegas was. Yeah. But Anaheim, Anaheim had a team meeting and saying we got to figure things out. They lost to Edmonton badly.
Had a lead too.
And had a lead against Detroit, and Detroit comes back. So I like the confidence with this Red Wings team. Bertuzzi, Mantha, Larkin, they've been great, and now Fabry's come in, giving them a spark as well. And again, anytime the Kings are favored, which is not often, I got no problem going against them. And by the way, they haven't beaten an Eastern Conference team yet. Not that that's a big deal, but that's something to throw in there.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting anecdote.
Eastern Conference teams.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I can't say that I won't be on the Kings, but I would just, on what you've said, if that's all the information I had to go on, I would definitely agree with taking the Wings here. So,
all right, excellent stuff. So to recap, Detroit plus 125 against Los Angeles, my play of the day, and for Adam, he's on Vancouver minus 142 against Dallas. Let's cash some tickets on this Thursday card. Thanks to everybody for watching. We will be back on Saturday, 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time, with our next edition of the SBR NHL Double Play of the Day video. For Adam Boothe, I'm Ian Cameron. Good luck this Thursday night, and we'll see you again on Saturday.
Oh, I'm ending the broadcast. I'm such a rookie.
Bye.